The Children of Clay is my new favorite indie horror game, and I'm not just saying that because I'm jealous I didn't make it first. I mean, it has everything I personally love in an indie horror. It's a detective game with mechanics similar to Her Story, connected to real-world folklore, but with supernatural elements like the Babadook. Have you seen the Babadook? I haven't, but it's like that. And like any good indie game, the whole story isn't told outright, instead combining game elements with a history lesson to craft an environmental narrative that seems like it was just made for YouTube synopsis videos. It's a short game, originally made for the Cosmic Horrors Jam 2024. It takes a little under an hour to finish, which is perfect for its price point. It's free and it's on Steam right now. So if you can, go play it, come back, and let's talk about it. Let's get into the awesome themes, the powerful symbols, and let's brush off Wikipedia to talk about the spread of the creation of pottery in Eurasia. Let's talk about the Children of Clay. Oh, and spoilers ahead, obviously. The game opens with narration text on a black background, the mandatory intro for all indie horror games. You receive an artifact from Professor Ortfe, who says he's sorry about the accident. You feel a chill run down your spine that you were once again back in the cave. Okay, cool, so you're like an archaeologist, and after suffering an accident where you were trapped in a cave, your colleague has returned the clay artifact you were studying. The artifact is numbered 297 and from a Kurgan burial mound. I think a Kurgan is a burial mound, by the way. Oh, and it came from the Ural Mountains. Also, it's made out of clay. It says the age and function are unknown, but we'll get to figuring that out soon. The screen cuts to a desk. Sitting on the desk is the clay artifact we were just talking about, and it's got a creepy little face. Kinda cute in a if my child brought this home from school, I would get rid of the child sort of way. You also have a magnifying lens, which, okay. So on the desk, there's a compass and a box of matches, which you can use to light the candle on the desk. That'll come up later. There's also a notepad which you can't interact with directly, and some archaeology books that you can use to type in search terms similar to Her Story. But in this case, it's like you're thumbing through the books on your desk to find answers about the statue. You can turn the clay statue around, which reveals a metal object embedded in the back of it. This gives you your first clue, to search for the term metal. From here we learn what metals are, in case you forgot. Oh, and also that iron can be magnetic, which, yeah, the compass does start to go a little haywire around the metal object in the statue, so hey, we have our next search term. Typing in iron, we learned that cold iron had a long and varied tradition in mythology and folklore. What kind of tradition, you might ask? Well, searching cold iron tells us that it was historically believed to repel, contain, or harm supernatural creatures. Yeah, we'll definitely come back to that. For now, it seems cold iron leaves us at a dead end, search term-wise. Investigating the statue more thoroughly, and with the magnifying lens, reveals a set of runes etched into the side. Searching your book for runes brings up 3 sets, with only one matching any of the symbols in the statue. Also, only one hitting a search term result. So you search for Rovos runes, and with a little deciphering, it turns out the runes spell Gnurdu. Oh wait, Old Hungarian letters were written right to left. Okay, Erdung. Searching Erdung shows that this is the name of a shape-shifting demonic creature associated with the devil. It says that one of the earliest Erdung myths is located in the Yugra tablet, and okay, the search terms are just flying off the shelves. Searching for Yugra gives us an origin story about a star that fell to Earth, and the 7 children of Erdung crawled out. These children caused sickness on the Earth until a brave Taltosh saved them. And then the tablet goes on to say that only 6 children are shown, with the 7th perhaps being another search term. I mean, the folk creature Mumush. When you type in Taltosh, it talks about a person born with supernatural powers, like a shaman, that can send their soul across the stars. Great stuff, no keywords. Let's go back and try Mumush. Mumush is actually our last search term, and typing this in takes us to the next segment of the game. For now, we learn that Mumush is an invisible creature that scares children, that it's often associated with darkness, and that there is no description of its shape. But that's maybe because it's different for everyone, as it's an embodiment of their fears. When you close the book, you now see a strange dark liquid seeping out of the clay statue's holes. The nail in the back has become loose, and you can easily pull it out. This causes the lights to go out. Luckily, you're over-prepared for this scenario and can light the candle on your desk with one of those matches that are also conveniently on your desk. Now, when you turn the statue around, it's broken open, a giant hole where its smaller mouth hole once was. Picking up the candle to investigate allows you to move move freely around your spooky room. It's filled with some archaeology books, as well as masks and statues from different cultures throughout history. Oh yeah, you're an archaeologist, alright. There's also this box here, which I'm not sure what this does. Does this do something? Can someone tell me if this does something? Please leave a comment if you know. It appears the dark liquid from inside the clay statue is now spilled across the room. Tracking it back to its source, you see a shapeless creature writhing around. What is this? Everything goes black. In this next part, you crawl around in the dark, feeling for walls, until everything starts becoming a wall. The way in front of you is wall. The way you came from, also wall. You remember that you have one more match in your pocket. You light it to find that you're trapped. Trapped in a cave, just like the accident that Professor Ortve reminded you of. Once again, everything turns black. More text overlay reads an excerpt from a newspaper article titled "The Children of the Clay." Apparently, there was an incident involving an esteemed archaeologist and a broken artifact. No idea what that's about, but the team in the Urals has made an astonishing discovery. They've accidentally broken into a cave and grave robbed dozens of similar small clay figures, and they're already in contact with several universities across the globe to study them. Roll credits. Okay, cool. That was a nice compact little story. We had some foreshadowing about being trapped in a cave and a sort of open ending that this might happen again. But like, what happened exactly? What was that gray blob in the corner of the room? And how did we end up in a cave? And that's beyond the initial questions the game gives us. How old is the artifact and what is its function? At the very least, we have to fulfill our archaeological duties and get to the bottom of these mysteries. So let's start with the function. Clearly, this clay statue contained some sort of evil dark stuff, most likely Mumush or the spirit of Mumush, since typing that into the books is what causes the nail in the back to loosen and the black liquid to ooze out. So the nail was the cold iron meant to repel the harmful spirit. So that makes Mumush also most likely this writhing, formless thing in the dark. As for the story and ending, there are two main theories I can see right away. The first is the most straightforward conclusion, that the statue is returned to the player character by tragic accident, and through removing the nail, you unleash Mumush, who consumes the player character, using a projected version of the archaeologist's worst fear, because that's how supernatural creatures eat or whatever. Like I said, I never saw the Babadook, but something about this theory just feels incomplete. Like, is it supposed to just be a coincidence that the archaeological team in the Urals just happened to break into a cave and find all of these clay statues right after you get nightmare eaten? And doesn't this shapeless form kind of look familiar? Doesn't it look a little like unformed clay? Okay, hear me out. So let's start putting the events in the game in chronological order. First, at some point, Erdunk creates the world. Then, a star from the sky, which sounds like a prehistoric way of describing a meteor, crashes into the earth, unleashing the children of Erdunk to wreak havoc until sealed away by a Taltosh. Now, we see how that happens with the nail, but there's an interesting discrepancy here. We learn in the game that the creation of pottery, you know, forming things out of clay, started around 27,000 years ago. And yeah, in history, we find the Alshanka culture, a Neolithic people that lived throughout the Volga region, started spreading the use of clay pottery and also using kurgans/burial mounds in that section of the world as long ago as 7K BCE. But it isn't until 3500 BCE that ironwork began, the source of the iron being meteors. Interesting, but that still leaves a few dozen millennia between the invention of pottery and the thing that wards off evil spirits. That means the offspring of Erdung were just free to roam about the earth, being all like super mean to humans and stuff. I think that's where this hulking massive Mumush comes in. Maybe, in the game world, the invention of forming clay statues was inspired by Mumush, this gray blob, and like the Kurgans, both Mumush and clay were spread throughout the Urals, eventually being trapped by a Taltosh before Mumush could spread its evil dark seed across the world. That is, until you unleash it. So I think Mumush is the clay, and we are the children, formed into a statue that looks looks like it's screaming in agony after Momush is finished with us, transporting our spirit across the stars. And I like this theory a lot because in a way, as humans, we're all already sort of children of clay, just bits of dirt propped up with the curse of knowing that we're alive, and the fear that it can all be taken away. So yeah, great game, awesome story. Strong example of a simple indie horror. If you wanted to make one yourself, this is a great thing to check out. Also, it's free and you just can't beat that price. And if you like the video, please give this a like and subscribe. It really helps out a lot. And if you think my theory is totally wrong, let's duke it out in the comments. I'm just kidding, you're probably right, I don't know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.